Are you ready to master this thing called life? Hey, welcome guys to the very first episode of the Girls Ask Guys show. I am your host, John Newport, also known as Knighted 2170. We're going to be grabbing questions straight from the gag side itself, giving our opinions and hopefully helping some people out. And who knows, one of those questions just might be yours. Hey, I want to thank everybody for tuning in and taking a listen to the very first podcast that we have here. The first thing I want to do is apologize for our audio quality. We do have some new equipment coming in. We just haven't received it yet. But with everybody asking us about this podcast and when it's going to be released, we thought we'd go ahead and cut it with what we have. And we will continue to work on it in the future with the assistance of everybody giving their honest feedback so we can make those adjustments so it becomes something that you would want to listen to on a regular basis. One of the popular questions people ask is, what makes the Girls Ask Guys show so different? Well, that's going to be a simple question to answer, because the answer is you. You, the listeners. You're the ones that make this show happen. You are the star of the show. Part of the planned format of the show is that we are going to pull questions straight from the GAG website. And who knows, one of those questions might be yours. No more reading, no more misinterpretation. You can just listen to the opinions. Now, I do wish we could go through everybody's question, but there's just not that much time in the day. Now, if your question didn't make it to the podcast and you would like to have your question read on the Girls Ask Guys show, you can head over to the website, girlsaskguyshow.com, click on the contacts page, and submit your question right there. But I didn't think just submitting questions was quite enough. There could be more that could be done. So here's what I did. You can be a guest co-host right here on the show. That's right, you can be a guest co-host right here on the show. It doesn't matter where in the world you live. You can be a guest co-host right here on the Girls Ask Guys show. The only thing we ask is that you become a subscriber to the show. Now, I can already hear this. Oh my God, I'm going to subscribe and he's going to make me a co-host on the show. That's not exactly how it works. Head over to the girlsaskguyshow.com website, click on contacts. You will see the instructions and some of the policies that we have that go along with being a guest co-host. I know people are waiting for me to get to the questions, and I will get there. I promise you, we will be answering some questions. But before I do that, I want to get this last little piece out. I will not be the only one hosting this show. Yes, I know that might be surprising to some people, but no, I'm not going to be the only one. I am actively looking for a female co-host. I don't want this to be a guy-only show where I'm the only one giving my opinions. I want that dynamic. The same dynamic that the GAG site has, I want that dynamic on the show itself. Guys' opinions, girls' opinions. That's the thing that is really going to make this show something special and something that is there for everybody. I truly believe that the women need a voice right here on the Girls Ask Guys show. You've waited long enough. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of these questions, offer some opinions, and help some people out. This first question comes from Dolly Chan, age 20, and it's posted in the guys' behavior section. So she asks, why do men complain about women having standards? And she continues, I am not talking about all men, but it pissed me off to see some of them claiming how women's standards are unachievable, while in real life, we rarely see a good-looking guy dating an average-looking woman. But the average-looking guys who complain about women's standards are actually talking about the gorgeous women who are way out of their league. Because, let's be honest, but the only kind of guys who usually flirt with the average-looking women are usually below average. Why aren't these ugly guys trying to flirt with ugly girls, instead of trying to make a pretty girl feeling bad for not falling for them? Wow, that actually took me a couple of takes just to get that out, because the typing really doesn't translate that well into actual spoken word. And that's okay. Not hitting on Dolly Chan. She had a question. We took it. So let's go ahead and dive into this thing. So let's take this thing piece by piece, point by point. The first thing is women's standards are unachievable. Everybody has their own set of standards. You can line up 100 women and go right down the line, and nearly every single one of them is going to have a different standard as to what type of guy or even what kind of friend or person that they want to be associated with. Now, the question continues with, we rarely see a good-looking guy dating an average-looking woman. So this whole question is circling around looks and how beautiful or attractive somebody is. Now, I'm going to say completely false. Good-looking guys do date average-looking women. But you have to remember, everybody has a different standard as to what a good-looking person or an attractive person looks like. What my personal 10 looks like is going to be different than somebody else's 10. I remember getting into debates over this because some guy would hold up this picture of this model, and I'm like, she's a 7. And he's like, are you kidding? She's a 10. She's a 10. And I'm like, no, man, she's a 7. And then he tells me I need to go see my therapist. And, hey, my therapist already says I'm fine, so that, whatever. So everybody has a different standard as to what type of or how attractive a person is. And then she continues with the average-looking guys who complain about women's standards are actually talking about the gorgeous women who are way out of their league. Well, first thing I want to say on this one is I don't believe in leagues at all. And I want to come back to that here in just a second. But the reason that the guys who are complaining about women's standards are talking about the really gorgeous women is because they have a disconnect in how to actually talk to a woman who quite possibly is getting approached by a lot of guys who have no idea on how to talk to a woman. And I've seen this time after time after time. A guy will walk up to a woman that he considers extremely beautiful, gorgeous, attractive, whatever, and he just completely fumbles. He walks up, you're pretty, boobies. Look how big I am, boobies. And she's just like, dude, get away from me. But boobies. Security. And it's actually quite comical to watch. Instead of just walking up and just talking like a normal person to another normal person, they're all over the map. And she's trying to figure out what is it that you want other than trying to get in my pants. So, I mean, it turns into this game of cat and mouse. And pretty soon what you see is that the mouse actually becomes a lion and just pounces on the cat. And it has a nice little cat snack. But when you're talking about leagues, there is no league. Just because a person is blessed with good genes doesn't necessarily mean that they can only go out with another person who was blessed with good genes. Now, another way that people define leagues is either their social status, popularity status, job status, money status. You can go through and you can pick your status. But if you have a person who is like totally average, let's say they have like the most average job you can choose. I mean, nothing exciting, nothing really happens in their life. And then go to the opposite extreme and look at, let's say, a movie star. Now, a movie star, they have the red carpet, they have the press, they have their publicists, they have paparazzi, shooting schedules, meetings. I mean, all of this stuff that goes with being a movie star. Now, if a person who is completely average and has absolutely nothing really going in their life as far as movie star status is concerned, if they can handle that movie star's lifestyle and career choice with everything that comes with it, that relationship can work. You can go out to imdb.com or you can go to wikipedia.com and bring up your favorite movie star, television star, or famous person and look at who they are going out with. Let's say they got married to somebody and they've been with them for the last 10, 15 years. Granted, in Hollywood, relationships usually don't last that long, but take a look at that. Look at who they are going out with or who they are married to, then click on that name. Sometimes you will find there really isn't anything there because they are an average person. They don't really have a whole lot going on in their life other than their daily job. They're not connected with Hollywood. They're not connected with the entertainment industry. There's really nothing spectacular about that person, but they can handle the lifestyle. So if that person can handle that lifestyle, there is no league. I mean, granted, you could say, oh, well, they're out of their league. Not necessarily. So long as they can handle that lifestyle without becoming overly needy, demanding time, demanding attention, and constantly interrupting what is demanded of them because of their work, the relationship works. So there is no league. A league only exists if you believe it does. Now, Dolly continues with saying that the only kind of guys who usually flirt with average-looking women are usually below average. Again, every single person has a different standard on what they find attractive. Now, I have known guys who didn't initially find a girl attractive, but after, let's say, a month or 3 months of working with her or being around her, he found out what her personality was like, and they wound up going out with each other. Now, that's irregardless of what she looked like. It wasn't so much the looks. He actually found her personality was attractive. But Dolly continues, and this is actually where I start seeing a flaw in where her argument goes, because she goes on to say that the only kind of guys who usually flirt with average-looking women are usually below average. Now, let's flip that around. She's saying average-looking women only go out with below-average-looking guys. I think there's a flaw there. Now, if a girl finds a guy attractive because of his personality, looks really don't play a huge role in it. Yes, initially, there's going to be a physical attraction, but physical attraction isn't going to keep a person around. It doesn't matter how good a guy looks or a girl looks. If their personality is shit, they're not going to go out with them, period. I mean, you're not going to put up with somebody who has a crappy personality simply because they look good. You're not going to be able to deal with it long term. Short term, maybe. Long term, it's not going to happen. Now, she continues, why aren't these ugly guys trying to flirt with ugly girls instead of trying to make a pretty girl feel bad for not falling for them? Guys are not trying to make a girl feel bad for not falling for them. And anybody who is trying to do that is a manipulator, and you don't have to do anything with them anyways. The only thing a guy is trying to do is approach a girl that he finds attractive, that he thinks they might get along with each other, and not get burned by her. A guy who's already nervous about approaching a girl that he finds attractive, it's like all eyes within 100-mile radius are staring at him, waiting for him to mess up and get burned. That's the pressure that he feels. And on the flip side of that, a girl is sitting there, she's watching this guy walk up to him. She knows what's going to be coming, and if she does not initially find him at least somewhat attractive, she knows she's going to have to go through the game and find a way of rejecting him. Most girls, they don't want to harshly reject a guy. She just wants him to get the hint and to go away. That's pretty much what I have on this question here. Hopefully it made sense. Hopefully it gives you guys something to think about and not put so much on looks, standards, leagues, and all of that other stuff. All of that doesn't matter. What matters is, does the person have the personality that you are looking for? Do they have the character traits that you believe is going to make you happy? The next question comes from girls' behavior. This is why we just might need a female co-host. Anyways, this comes from an anonymous guy user, age 18 to 24, and he asks, is this still a platonic relationship? And he explains, hi all, I just met this girl at my university exactly 2 months ago when she had a boyfriend at the time. We've been talking a lot, gone to lunches, dinners, hung out, etc., to the point where her boyfriend got really upset with me. Since then, I've been toning it down so I don't ruin their relationship. Recently, they just broke up, and I found myself at her apartment for 3 consecutive nights, sleeping and cuddling with her. At first, the cuddling just began with each other, spooning and changing positions every once in a while. However, it soon progressed to me touching her thighs and my hand reaching under her shirt on her backside. Okay, I'm assuming that's her back. I also noticed that she would lay my head face down directly on her breasts with a shirt, with and without a bra most of the time. Lastly, when I was playing with her hair, our foreheads were touching, and I've noticed that in sensitive areas, she would get that tingly feeling, and her lips would repeatedly move closer to my lips, and were very closely to kissing. She didn't want to date in a long time, and she knows I'm not looking for anything more than friendship. What the hell? He finishes. I just don't know if this is still considered a friendship still. Okay, dude, we got quite a bit to talk about here. Now, it's no secret that anybody that followed me on the GAG site knows that I'm going to give you my straight-up, honest opinion, and I'm not going to pull any punches. So before I go in and start ripping this guy, because this is way, way outside of the realm of any kind of platonic relationship. The first thing you got to do is you need to take a look at what the definition of platonic is. And platonic is a love or a friendship that is not sexual. And this is borderline sexual. Now, I want to give you kudos for trying to tone it down so that you don't ruin this girl's relationship with her now ex-boyfriend. I give you kudos there. But what I'm seeing here is that either she likes you and broke it off, or that it was beyond the point of no return by the time you started toning things down. So he broke it off. Either way, that's in the past, and the two broke up. Now, you say that you're just looking for friendship, and that's what caught me. You said, I'm not looking for anything more than friendship, but yet you found yourself at her apartment for 3 consecutive nights, sleeping and cuddling with her. If you're looking for just friendship, why are you in the same bed or laying with her on the couch in such a manner? Most guys don't do that. I mean, I know I didn't. If I was staying at a girl's place or she was staying at my place and we were just friends, then I'm not going to be cuddling up with her. It's just not going to happen. And if I did, she's probably going to be looking at me going, what the hell are you doing? We don't do this. That's how it works. I have plenty of girls who are friends, platonic friends. There's nothing sexual there. Now you say that it just began cuddling and you're just changing positions every once in a while. However, you started touching her thighs and my hand running up the back of her shirt. No, dude. No. That is not somebody that is looking for just friendship. That's not how this works. You are going well beyond friendship. You are crossing that line and you're getting into a sexual realm. Now, I want to assume that she's okay with this because you are not putting anything in here as far as her rejecting your advances. Now, you say that you noticed that she would lay her face down directly on her breast, of course, with a shirt on, with and without a bra most of the time. Well, dude, I would hope you would notice. This isn't an also type situation. No. Any guy who has his head grabbed by a girl and face planted between her breasts is going to notice. I mean, this is something that is not normally done. You notice. And I'm pretty damn sure that any girl that does that to a guy would hope that he notices. If she's doing that to you and you're running your hand up and down her thighs and up her back and spooning and cuddling and all this other stuff, this is not platonic. Dude. And then you go on to say, lastly, I was playing with her hair and our foreheads were touching, and I've noticed that sensitive areas, she would get that tingly feeling and our lips would repeatedly move closer. And we were very, it's all capital letters here, very close to kissing. Why didn't you two just kiss? Just get it over with. I mean, you guys are playing games with each other. Now, you kind of amend this whole thing and say that she didn't want to date in a long time, and she knows that I'm not looking for a friendship, which I'm calling bullshit. The flag has flown. You're not looking for friendship, and if you are, you need to check yourself, like, heavily, because you are going in a totally different direction here. And if she's still looking for friendship, you two need to take a very close look at what you guys are doing. Because 3 consecutive nights and all of this is going on and you guys are just looking for friendship, I'm calling bullshit. Because this is not what this is. Now, I want to take into consideration and look at prior relationships that I've had happen where I had a girl who was a friend, and I'm talking a girl who was an actual friend, nothing sexual, because I know this girl, if I tried running my hand up and down her thigh, she would backhand me like there is no tomorrow. That's just a line that we drew in the sand, and it doesn't happen. Now, we get along, we hang out, we have lots of fun together, but we're not spooning. Now, when she broke up with a guy, yeah, we hung out with each other, and she stayed over at my place for a couple of nights, but we were in 2 totally separate rooms, and we weren't messing around with each other like you guys are messing around, if that makes sense. Okay, there was no touching or anything else. We just hung out, told jokes, watched movies and stuff like that. Now, the reason that she hung out with me is because she felt safe. She knew I wasn't going to try anything. And dude, you are not a safe person to hang out with for a girl who just broke up with a guy. Not unless she has ulterior motives that she has not told you or that you are not seeing. Now, I'm not saying that's happening here, but if she desires you, somebody needs to come clean. Now, my friend who broke up with her boyfriend, she hung out with me because she felt safe. She knew I wasn't going to do anything. I wasn't going to try to sway her over to me. I was going to be her hero. No, she just needed somebody that she could vent to, somebody that she can express her emotions and work through the emotions that she had. She was pissed off at that other guy. Now, some girls, they just need to express the emotion because the guy broke up with her and they couldn't figure out why. It just came out of the blue. So they had all these other emotions that they needed to work through. See, there's a difference between guys and girls. As a general category, guys fall in love much faster than girls do. As a guy, we see a pretty girl and fantasies start clicking off in our heads and boom, we're in love. I mean, a girl expresses a little bit of interest in us and man, we are in love. Now, a girl, they work the exact opposite. It takes them longer to fall in love. They have more boxes that they need to check off than guys do. Now, when it comes to the end of a relationship, a guy, we're just like, okay, we're done. And off we go. Girl, I know a lot of women out there are shaking their heads up and down going, But girls, it takes them longer to fall out of love. Okay, so guys fall in love real quick, girls don't. Guys fall out of love real quick, girls don't. That's how that works. Now, this whole thing right here is this a platonic relationship. I want to take a look at this thing right here, and I want to say, dude, you're in love with her. And it just took her a while to figure it out. And the reason I want to say that is because of how you constructed this whole thing. You met this girl 2 months ago at university, and she had a boyfriend. And you two got along really, really well. Now, her boyfriend got upset, so you backed off a little bit. You're going to play the hero. You're going to back off. Okay, I'll let you have your space. And then, boom, she broke up and you moved in. You saw your chance and you took it. That's how I'm looking at this. And since she was already comfortable with you, and I want to say I'm not taking her side into account a whole lot, is simply because you included that one sentence where you noticed that she would lay your head directly on her breast. So I'm going to assume, either right or wrong, I'm going to assume at this point in time that she's okay with this whole thing. And she's not objecting. Now, if she's objecting, dude, I hope you go to jail. I hope that she files something with the university and you go to jail. Because if you're going against her will, dude, I have absolutely zero tolerance for that. But at this point, I'm going to assume that she's going along with this whole thing. Is this still considered just a regular friendship thing? Hell no, it's not. You need to take a look at what you want. She needs to take a look at what she wants. And you guys got to figure this whole thing out, because this can go sideways and real bad real fast. If either you get a girlfriend or she gets a boyfriend, one of you two is going to get really jealous real fast. You're not going to understand where your relationship stands, and both of you are going to end up not talking to each other or quite possibly just hating each other. Now, on the flip side of this is that you two do not define what your relationship is, and it just becomes so weird every time you two look at each other that you wind up not talking. That's the only two directions I can see this thing going. Either you two define what your relationship is to keep it from getting weird, or you define what your relationship is before one of you two finds somebody else and the other one so confused about what happened or about what you two had that you wind up not talking to each other and quite possibly just pissed off because you two never figured out what it is that you had. That's where I stand on this. But is this a platonic relationship? Hell no, it's not. You need to check yourself, man. And with that, we're almost out of time. And I'm trying to keep all these podcasts anywhere between 25 and 32 minutes long, just long enough that it's comfortable for driving to and from work. But since this is our inaugural podcast, let's go ahead and take another question. This question comes from Older and Wiser. He's 64 years old, and he posts this up in the breakup and divorce section. Have you ever talked to an ex long after a breakup and received a surprising disclosure? Now, he explains his question with, as I was procrastinating my hurricane preparations this morning, I answered a question about a breakup. A young lady wrote with great confidence that her ex had absolutely no reason to be angry with her as a result of the breakup. I am sure that she sincerely believes what she said, but is it actually true? Her perspective of the relationship is obviously biased. No more and no less than his perspective is also biased. And she is making assumptions about how the male brain operates on the basis of her intimate familiarity with her own female brain. I wonder, if she talks to him 6 months from now and they both have moved on and have no interest in reuniting, would he explain something to her that she never anticipated, never considered? I have remained friends with one ex, but it is a lady who moved 4 hours away. There wasn't a breakup between us. We just said goodbye to seeing each other, so there was no breakup to discuss. Have you ever sat and talked with an ex months or even years after a breakup? Did he or she reveal something that was a surprise to you? If so, did that impact how you consider your partner's feelings in your other relationships? Well, Older and Wiser, actually, yes, I have. I have talked with exes long after breakups, and I've talked with exes soon after breakups. And as you clearly state, this is coming from my own bias because I'm male and I am not a female. So I do not have the wiring or the social upbringing that a female has. Because as we both know, social upbringings have a great impact on how a person thinks and interacts with other people. But in my early 20s, and this is no secret, I've posted about this many a time, that I was a pickup artist. I actually moved up through the so-called ranks and became a coach for guys who wanted to learn how to meet girls. And with that, I made lots of girlfriends. I made lots of friends who happened to be girls. And some of them, we broke it off, and some of them, like you, we simply parted ways. But I have talked to them, and they have made some surprising revelations. One in particular that sticks out, she revealed to me that I was like a light switch. And that's actually how she worded it to me. It was like I was a light switch, where I was one way with one group of people, and I was another way with another group of people, and another way with yet another group of people. So when I was around her, I would act one way. When I was with a group of guys, I was another way. When I was in a social group, I was another way. When I was at work, I acted another way. And she just found that as a huge turnoff, which is something that I actually use nowadays as far as how I filter people that I want to associate with. If they are not congruent, if they are not the same person around one group as they are with another group, I really don't want to hang around with them. And I call that being authentic. How I am here on this podcast is how I am in real life. It's also how I am when I'm at my regular day job. I don't change. I'm the same person all the way through. And that was a revelation that really kicked in for me and took me a long time to adjust because I was so used to acting one way when I was at work or hanging out with a group of guys or the girl that I was going out with that I was not the same. If she visited me at work, I was caught. How do I act? Do I act this way? Do I act that way? She can't see me acting this way, but the people that I work with, they can't see me how I act with her. It caused an internal conflict with me. And that was something that really, it just really hit home for me and completely changed my life. But that was why she broke up. That's why she called it off. Of course, she used "it's not you, it's me," when it was actually me. So, yeah, but that is something that, for me, right after she told me this, I realized it was 100% true. And this is the advice that I gave to the guys that I was coaching at the time. You have to be congruent. What you do privately, what you do in a social situation, what you do in work, and what you do when you're going out with a person needs to be the same across all lines. You can't change from being one person to being another person. That mask is going to cause an internal conflict, and they're not going to want to be with you. So that, yes, a very surprising disclosure that she gave me, something that I never even considered and definitely did not anticipate coming from her. Hey, I hope that gives people something to think about. We are now beyond our time, and it is time for us to sign off. Go out, live your life according to your terms, and hopefully you will tune in on our next episode where we can get together, ask some questions, give our opinions, and master this thing that we call life.
This has been a production of The Girls Ask Guys Show. Visit us over at thegirlsaskguyshow.com, where you can subscribe, submit your questions, and request to be a guest on the show. Go ahead and leave us some honest feedback. Let us know how we did. We really appreciate everybody listening, and we'll talk to you on the next one.